it's Renee with Delaney Jane Cards. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have another video for the Not Too Shabby design team, and I am again playing with the Miss Ink Oh Nuts stamp set, and I brought in this Miss Ink Sunburst stencil. What I decided to do was highlight a single image. We talked about in my last card that this is kind of a fall themed stamp set, and I wanted to make a not fall themed cardigan. So I did jump on the bandwagon and I bought some of this pixie spray. I try not to buy everything as it comes out. I really like to see things have staying power in the market before I buy it. I was showing you my ink pad there. My old, very old, loved cat used to like to open these little ink cubes and run off with them, and he must have had that one at some point. Still has ink in it, still works, so I haven't found the need to replace it, and now that he is gone, it makes me smile when I open it. So I was ink blending some colors here on this piece of Nina 80-pound solar white cardstock. I was using this blending buddy brush from Trinity Stamps. I like it. I can't say that I like it any better than my one from, or my couple from the Dollar Tree, but I like it. If I want really concentrated color, I do bring out my Ranger tools because, well, they give me lots of concentrated color with not very much work. But this works really well for these stencils here. And I will say that I do like the pixie spray. It really worked well for me when I made this panel. So I am flashing the colors up on the screen, and this little Festive Berries Distress ink, I had to open it. It was new. I couldn't believe that it was new. I don't know where my other one is apparently, but the cap doesn't fit on it very well, so I did just put a piece of tape on there to hold it. And then I blended out from yellow to orange to red to purple. And like I said, I did flash all the colors on the screen. It was mustard seed, spiced marmalade, festive berries, and wilted violet. And I'm just going around and making a nice little gradient all the way to the purple. And so I have, you can already tell, I have like shiny syndrome, you know. I think it's, what is it, Up, where the dog is like, squirrel. So this was the thought process here. And so I wanted to highlight a squirrel. And so I did the ink blending, and then I kind of shifted my stencil. And I'm going to bring in the shiny, the Glimmer paste in Moonstone. What this allowed me to do was to really add a bunch of interest to this background. I didn't bring the Moonstone all the way out to the edges. I just kind of made a central spiral here. Okay, back to the shiny. See, this is how it goes in my life. So I'm one of those storytellers that when I'm telling, especially my friends, something, I can have 85 different conversations, and then I finally get back to what I started with, because something is shiny or something caught my interest, or I remember something and I interrupt people, and I'm not trying to be rude. I just remembered right now and I need to tell you before I forget. So I was thinking about me when I made this card, because this is a card that I would need to send, because I'm going to forget things because something was shiny. There was a squirrel somewhere. And I lost track of my thoughts. So I am going to flash this colors up on the screen as I color the squirrel. One thing I did do with this squirrel was something called Copic glazing. It's a way to change the tone of your markers. I'm sure somewhere in the Copic collection there is a marker that will match what I'm trying to create. And that's one really nice thing about Copics, is they are transparent, so you can layer them. I think all alcohol markers kind of work that way. It's like taking a bunch of vellum and laying it on top of each other, if you want to think about it like that. If you had a piece of yellow vellum and you placed a piece of red vellum over it, you're going to get orange. If you had green and you put yellow over top of it, you're going to get a really yellow green, or blue and red will give you purple. And that's kind of how Copics work as far as layering them. So Squirrels can be all sorts of colors, and the squirrels that are here, and well, we have all the colors. We have red squirrels and black squirrels and gray squirrels, but most of the squirrels that I see here, they are gray, but they have a brown undercoat or undertone to them. And I didn't want to make him look like he was part of a tree. So I did use these E70 markers, and they are really a cool marker. And what I did is just made sure I had all of my shading where I wanted it to be. And I took longer coloring him than I thought I probably would, but I really wanted to make sure that I had the shading really distinctively, very dark darks, very light highlights, because when I put the other markers over to glaze him, I want the shading to shine through. I didn't want it to blend out and be gone. So here I colored him, and this would be fine if I hadn't decided to go over this, but I went back in and I put in more of those really dark darks. And then I added some like pink to the inside of his ears, and that was not pink enough for his cheeks because cartoon squirrels are supposed to have cute cheeks. So here I took a W3 marker and I went over the entire image, and he just wasn't gray enough for me. So then I took a W5 marker and I just went over the darkest shadows here, and then I did another layer over the entire thing. One thing about Copics is you can shade with the same marker. So I added deeper, darker tones in the shadows and then went over it with a single layer. So I got 2 layers in the shadows, if that makes sense. And then I went around the edges with my Tombow marker after I had trimmed him all the way out, and I fussy cut him, and it was really important that there was no white showing because of what I wanted to do with this little fun little squirrel. I added some black glaze pen to his eyes and nose, and then did some cute little white dots on his cheeks. So this is an Art Impressions mini action wobble, and it's not mini enough apparently, so I needed to trim it down so it would fit behind him. And over the years I have learned that there is a right and wrong way to use this wobble. I didn't know that, and I will show you that in a little bit. So I needed my sentiment for the front of the card, and you know what I picked? I picked squirrel because I would be totally, I don't know, I get sidetracked with stuff, and if there's a squirrel jumping through the trees, I'm telling you, I'm paying attention, and whatever I was doing or talking about or in the middle of has to wait because I need to watch the squirrel. And that goes the same for any other things that happen in my world. I just get sidetracked. It's a curse. So I did trim that out and just trimmed it down so that it was a tiny little thing. And then I needed to decide what to do for the inside of my card. And I already said squirrel on the front, so I needed something else. And I pulled out this Your Next stamp, So Sorry Donkey, and I used that to finish my sentiment because, as you see, I cut my stamp. I don't always do that. I just didn't want to mask it, and there was enough space between the words that I knew that in the future I could just butt it up against each other just fine, and I could use it as it was intended. Nobody is going to send you to stamp jail if you cut your stamps. Nobody is going to send you to stamp jail if you don't. So that's on you. So I did stamp those. On the inside it says life is nuts, so sorry I missed your birthday. And I thought that really went well with the squirrel on the front. Like, oh my gosh, I got sidetracked and I was doing all the other things and I forgot that your birthday happened. So I left this panel aside to dry, and it was dry to the touch, but it did feel cool. So that means it's not 100% dry. And I wanted to trim this down, and glitter paste that is not 100% dry does not cut well. It will tear your paper. So I did just dry this. It didn't take that long, and well, it was shiny, so it was kind of fun to do. You know, I like to look at the shiny things. So see how he's going to look on there? Like, ta-da, squirrel. So I did trim this down, and there is like I said, a right and a wrong way to use this. There is a clear side and a white side to these wobbles. And it took me years to learn this, but you are supposed to put the clear side down on your paper and the white side on whatever it is that's doing the wobbling. Because if you wobble it, you can see the base. And if it's white, you will be able to see it. Now, this is glitter paste so that it is textured. So I did use some of my best glue ever to put underneath the wobble. If you're just sticking this to flat paper, just stick it down. They have really good adhesive on them. So after I did that, I was deciding where I wanted to put this sentiment. It just makes me giggle every time I look at it, like squirrel. This set is just too cute. So I stuck that down with a bit of foam tape. It will be the most prominent thing, like the highest raised thing when this is in an envelope, because that squirrel will lay flat. So it'll be fine. It isn't going to catch on anything. But once the recipient opens the envelope, they will be able to wobble the squirrel around, and it will be super cute and funny. So shiny glitter paste and this Sunburst stencil and the squirrel that wobbles in the middle was not enough for me. I needed to add some sequins because I was in the super shiny squirrel moment in my craft room, and I pulled out a couple of different sequin mixes. I pulled out the Simon Says Stamp Hawaiian Sunset, and that's what you see here. And then I also grabbed the Studio Katia Crystal Rainbow. I just thought that those went really well with this whole entire background. There is so much shine and shimmer to this. I wanted to add something, but I didn't want to like draw your eye really away from our friend the squirrel. I just can't even. He's so funny. I'm sorry. I know I made this card, but it is like the funniest thing in the world to me right now. And I love him so much. I don't know if I want him to go anywhere. He might need to live in my house because he's so cute. And Jamie does have this stamp set in her shop and the stencil, I believe. And I will have everything linked below, but I would love to see what you can make with this stamp set. I made another card earlier in the month, and I did no line coloring with this squirrel with the other squirrels in the set with my zigs, and I love how that one turned out. It's very sweet and cute, but this card is my favorite of the two. I can't even help it. He's hilarious. I mean, look at that. It's so funny. Just is my life. Just, I did pull out my flashlight so you can see just how shiny and shimmery that is. And because I shifted the stencil, it adds so much more interest. There is glitter on the white and on the color, and I just absolutely love how it is. Anyway, Jamie's shop N2S10 will get you 10% off if you visit her store, and I have some close-up shots of my card here, including that little action wobble. You can see underneath how it's clear, so you can't really see it peeking out. I absolutely enjoyed talking to you today. I appreciate you stopping by. I would love to know if you are like me and get sidetracked by all the shiny, happy things. Do you tell 45 stories at the same time? And as I always say, thanks for stopping by and give cards generously. Bye.